WrestleZone presents Lost in the Midcard. Here are your hosts, Jeremy Bennett and Matt Black. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast where we deliver the least prestigious wrestling awards in history. The return of the Markies. It is Lost in the Midcard. Hello, welcome. Good evening. Hope you had a good New Year's Day. We are sitting here on the 8th of January. I'm sitting here in front of a lot of snow. Really fun, and it's still snowing, so I can't wait for to clean all that fun stuff off. But we are here. This is our year-end kind of recap. Of course, last week, New Year's Day, we had a lot to talk about, and especially with World's End and everything like that. So and a lot of breaking news. So we figured this would be a good time, and it was a good time. There wasn't a whole ton of crazy news out there, so good time to bring back the Markies. It's been about 2 or 3 years. It was a yearly award show that Matt and I did on this podcast basically since the beginning. I think we did it probably about a year into our podcast. So we've been doing it every year, and we're bringing it back for you. Of course, we got a different little format, so we're going to do a lot less categories, but we're going to bring that.
We still have a lot of categories.
Yeah, a lot of categories. We used to have even more. So, but anyways, if you have not done so already, make sure to go to WrestleZone's YouTube page. That's WrestleZone, all one word, and hit that subscribe button. Click that bell so you know every time we go live, which is every Monday at 7:10 Eastern, 6:10 Central, leading you up to Monday Night Raw. Big one, CM Punk returning after being gone all of 2 weeks. You know, that whole Roman.
I hate that trope that WWE uses so much. They use it for Roman and Punk, and I've seen them even do it for Cody. Like, he misses a week of Raw. Cody Rhodes returns next. I hate that.
Oh my God, he's been gone for so long.
You're not returning. You had a week off. You're going to be on Raw next week. This is not a return. Come on.
I don't know. But anyways, Monday Night Raw real quick tonight. CM Punk returns. Cody Rhodes, Nakamura, Piper Niven and Chelsea Green going against Katana Chance and Kaden Carter for the women's tag titles. Ciampa and Finn Balor battle in a high stakes match.
Really good.
Is it, if Ciampa wins, it's DIY versus Judgment Day or what?
I don't know. I didn't hear that match announcement until you just told me, so I don't know.
According to WWE.com, it says high stakes matchup.
I would assume that means if Ciampa beats Balor, DIY gets a title shot, but I don't know. Legitimately, this is the first I'm hearing about this match, and as you saying it right now. So, but automatically, that's the match I'm most looking forward to tonight. I think Ciampa and Balor will tear the damn house down.
Another good one coming up also. Kofi Kingston and Ludwig Kaiser is another match, and a sit-down interview with R-Truth. That'll be entertaining as always.
That'll be funny.
We'll see if Sean Ross Sapp gives any clarification on that Ciampa Balor match. And then of course Wednesday on Dynamite, a lot of good stuff. Hangman and Claudio, Sting and Darby taking on Takeshita and Hobbs. A big 8-man tag was just announced. Adam Copeland.
Yeah, they just announced 2 8-person tags, one for the men and one for the women. This really, like, I'm not trying to be mean to Tony or whatever, but like, you throwing 2 random 8-mans out there, which kind of sound like Brody Lee tribute matches, and that's fine by me. But you're also saying that Dynamite Homecoming's kind of a throwaway show that you don't really need to go out of your way to see, and that's disappointing to me. Because neither of these matches seem to have any base or stakes in terms of current or future storylines that the company's running. I mean, especially the men's one. And you can make something out of the women's one based on who's in there, but the men's one is just completely random as hell.
Yeah, and it's a team that's together. Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Gates of Agony.
Well, I mean, Lance Archer isn't with any of them. Lance Archer's with the Righteous.
Oh, but then the other 4 guys have nothing to do with each other. Orange
Yeah.
Cassidy, Dustin Rhodes, Adam Copeland, and Preston Vance. So
And Preston Vance is a bad guy. I mean, unless LFI is considered babyface, uh,
I don't know.
it's very weird. Like I said, they both they're seemingly Brody Lee tribute matches because Anna Jay's in one and Preston Vance is in the other, and it seems
Yeah.
like that's what they're playing off of based on Tony's tweets. But
Mm.
to me, I saw those 2 match announcements, and my anticipation for Wednesday was like here, and now it's like down here. I'm just like, I'm sure it'll still be a fun show, but those 2 match announcements really took the wind out of my sails for Wednesday's Dynamite.
And then it's actually gonna be a Dynamite I'll be home for on Wednesday. I've been doing a lot of trivia filling in, so I haven't gotten to watch Dynamite live in quite some time. Steven Chambers in the chat, yes, Hard to Kill on Saturday. I plan on perusing that. Thinking about going to SmackDown on Friday as well. God, the temperatures are going to get very negative. Um,
Very cold out right now.
yeah, we're hovering in the freezing range, and we got about 6 inches of snow today. I don't think we got as much as they said that we were supposed to get, but it's supposed to still snow for another
We
12
were
hours.
supposed to get snow over the weekend. We ended up getting all rain. I was very thankful for that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
just tis the season for nasty weather, and you just never know what you're gonna get.
we've been hovering in the 30s, but we're gonna have a low of -11 coming up, and so I don't know when even that is. I hope it ain't Friday. But I'm thinking about going to SmackDown, seeing what's going on there. Nah, -2 on Friday, -11's lows on Saturday. So, we'll if we got time, we'll go over Hard to Kill before we get done.
I
I
would
think
be
what
shocked if we're gonna have time.
I don't know. We might
Dude,
have time.
you've set up 21 awards we need to debate and give out here. And Raw starts in 40 minutes. I don't know, man. We'll see how this goes.
Some of them are obvious, so I don't think it's going to take all that time, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And of course, in the chat, let us know who you think should win the Marky in your opinion. Let's get started with some tag teams. First off, WWE Tag Team of the Year. Ooh, we got fancy graphics. Your nominees: The Judgment Day, Priest and Balor, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, Alpha Academy, thank you, and the Usos. 4 very good teams, Matt. Very, very tough to discern. I think in terms of longevity, I kind of want to lean Judgment Day. But in terms of effectiveness, I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn winning the main event of night 1 kind of gets in there. Where do you lean on that?
I lean that this is going to be a much more difficult conversation next year. Just based off the last few weeks of WWE program, it really seems like Triple H is beginning to rebuild the tag team division again on
Mhm.
both Raw and SmackDown.
Absolutely.
I feel tag team wrestling is going to take on a level of importance in WWE this year that it used to be in AEW, and I'd like to see AEW bring that back this year too, because I think the tag team division over there needs some help as well.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a lot more difficult next year than it is this year. I am going to lean on Judgment Day mainly because they were together all year. They've been a faction, like for better or for worse. They've been a faction
Two-time
all year.
two-time
Yeah,
champ too.
two-time champions, and they have like barely any length between those two reigns too. Like they were hardly never not champions once they got the titles this year. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna lean on them. Honorable nod to Sammy and KO.
Yep.
If they would have stayed together, if they wouldn't
Yeah.
have moved Owens to SmackDown
Yeah.
and Zayn and KO were still a tag team right now, 100%. I would go Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But for the longevity of the year as a whole, I'm gonna give the nod to the Judgment Day.
Of course, the Usos entered 2023 as champions. Alpha Academy, I mean, there's only 3 different champions this year in the tag division. Alpha Academy just gets a nod for the just the work that they did and the amount of quality matches that Gable and Otis put together that led to actually a singles push for Gable. So,
And it's
kind of
really
give them
hard.
the
It's
nod.
really hard to give a nod, even a nod to the Usos for how little they were together in 2023.
Yeah, yeah.
But the
But
fact that
again,
they were, but the fact that they even made these brackets tell you how weak the overall tag team division was in
yep.
WWE in 2023. It just wasn't there.
Next year
Very,
we got
not
got the
very good
Creeds, got
tap.
DIY. You got
Yeah,
Creeds
I
DIY.
think next year is
Pretty
going to be.
deadly.
I think next year is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
For these tag teams, and it's going to be hard. I think it'll be hard to narrow it down to 4, let alone
yeah.
pick one.
And then if Tyler Bate and Butch stay together too. I mean, there's a lot of
I think they
good
have to,
things.
and I think Tyler Bates going to be the reason that Butch eventually goes back to being known as Pete Dunne.
Yes.
That's my hope anyway. I'm
So
hoping that's where this is going.
So the way this works is Matt and I basically debate. If we don't agree, we kind of compromise and go on from there. So we will stamp it. WWE Tag Team of the Year is the Judgment Day. Next up is the women's side of things, also not so strong. But WWE's Women's Tag Team of the Year, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, Becky Lynch and Lita. Now, this is a tough one just because of the focus just was not in that division hardly at all this year. I think the focus was on Chelsea Green, why she's nominated twice. Raquel and Liv, I think they held it 2 different times this year, if I'm not mistaken. But I really, Chelsea and Sonya was a very promising team. Unfortunately, Sonya getting hurt. I almost want to give it to Becky Lynch and Lita because they only lost it because of a Trish swerve, but I don't know. It's hard to call on this one just because, again, the importance of that division was not there. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure it's going to be there by the end of 2024 either.
Yeah,
While I'm confident that I feel like Triple H is building the men's tag team division back up, I can't say the same for the women. Because in my opinion, if the women's division tag team style was made to be elevated this year, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane would have never been split in
yep,
NXT, because I think those two together could have carried the women's tag team division on the
yep.
main roster this year for a majority of the year, and they just ripped them apart for no reason whatsoever. Um,
At least the
I'm gonna
titles are now on a long-standing team in Chance and Carter. So
I'm gonna go with Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, because I found their dynamic very entertaining. I think if Sonya and Chelsea would have been together longer, I think I would have gone with them.
yeah,
But Chelsea's comedy gold, and anytime she's on WWE programming right now, and her and Piper played off of each other so incredibly well. So
yeah,
yeah,
and
I'm gonna go with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven.
then on top of that, Chelsea Green and Carmella before Carmella got pregnant. So it's like Chelsea Green has made 3 partnerships work in the span of a year, which is why Chelsea Green has to win this award. And yes, so by default, the more impactful team was with Piper Niven. So let's mark it down. Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, your WWE Women's Tag Team of the Year. Yes, Steven Chambers, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn. It's a Chance and Carter have been together for years, but they are not really building any teams at NXT because they unified those titles. Obviously, Gigi and JC.
I
Gigi's
like the idea of them unifying the titles, but I think those champions should be featured on NXT more often than they
Yeah,
are.
because Gigi's really been floating around. JC's had a little thing with being with Chase U, but neither as impactful as they were with Mandy Rose and
Yeah,
in
exactly. They've both plummeted down the card in
yeah.
NXT since they split them up.
Since we don't
There's no
talk
denying that.
And Steven has in the chat for Ace Austin and Chris Bay. We don't talk Impact as much. That's going to be something
We
hopefully we
literally
talk
don't
about
have
more.
time. If you
Yeah.
go back to our old school loss of the mid cards, we
We had
did awards
ROH.
for Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact, but those shows also went probably almost 3 hours in length. We
Yeah,
don't
we
have
used
that
to.
kind of time frame anymore.
Yeah, we used
So
to do
we have
2
to
3-hour
condense these
podcasts.
awards down.
um,
So we don't have like specific ROH, Impact, New Japan awards this year, just because we simply don't have the time to do them. Honestly,
Ace
I'll be
and
shocked if we get through everything that
yeah,
we've set out to do today.
we might have to bleed this into next week. Bay and Austin probably would have been the tag team of the year in Impact, though. AEW tag team of the year. Your nominees are FTR, Ricky Starks and Big Bill, the Guns, and the Acclaimed. And Matt, you're right. The focus on the tag team in AEW, the Young Bucks aren't even nominated. They were kind of not around as much this year. So it's kind of an odd year for tag teams when AEW's focus was on the tag team so heavily. But I mean, this might be a quick conversation, Matt, because I don't think we can really vote against FTR here.
Yeah, apparently I looked down upon this category so much I forgot to upload the graphic.
Oh,
so I'm uploading that right now. There you go.
there are those.
Yeah, I mean,
those guys.
honestly, this is a perfect example. AEW was built. One of the things when they started out, they took their tag division was their pride and joy, and
Yep.
this is what we have to go on this year. It's the top 4 tag teams in AEW.
I had to throw the Acclaimed in there just to find another team.
This is to me this is a ridiculous, and it's very evident of something AEW needs to change in 2024. To me, it's a no brainer. It's FTR. Like I don't even feel like we need to.
Nope.
I don't even feel like we need to debate it. It's.
I figured it'd be easy.
Yeah, to me that's a no brainer.
WW
category FTR.
Yeah. WWE Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year. Always a fun category to see who kind of either comes out of nowhere or, bounces back or just kind of.
We talking men or women here?
Men right now.
Okay.
The men's Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year. Your nominees are Dragon Lee, L.A. Knight. Yeah. Bronson Reed and Solo Sikoa. All guys deserving, especially Dragon Lee. I was kind of surprised that Dragon Lee got that instant main show push that he did while he was still working in NXT. He had a hell of a year. Bronson Reed fired, comes back, and makes an impact in the U.S. title scene and maybe his Intercontinental title scene. But had some great feuds with Nakamura, Ivar, and the Solo Sikoa. I mean, obviously, when he came in as a Clash of the Castle, and then just the work that he's done to be a dominant force.
I don't think Dominic broke out in 2023. I think he broke out in 2022.
Yep.
I think he built upon the momentum that he had the previous year. So I don't think this was a breakout year for.
That's why
for Dominic. That's why he did not make the nomination on this, Steven.
But don't worry, he's going to be a nominee somewhere here. My vote, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't even debate with you. If you look at where LA Knight was in January of 2023,
Max
being used to be a squash guy for Wyatt's return at the Rumble in that Mountain Dew Pitch Black match, and to see what he was able to do throughout the course of 2023 and where he is now. Absolutely, the WWE men's breakout star of the year has to be LA Knight. Like, to me, you could kind of make a case for Solo, but I feel Solo kind of started his momentum. He started on his momentum rise at the end of 2022. Yeah. And he started taking a bunch of L's in 2023, and he kind of went down. He went down throughout the year instead of up, in my opinion. And LA Knight just right through the freaking roof, man.
Yeah, I put Solo in last minute because I almost kind of forgot about him. I had Santos Escobar in there as a nominee.
That's not a bad choice either. It's still not better than LA Knight.
No.
So
no. But yeah, LA Knight, my man. I mean, if you've been watching this podcast for the almost 9 years, because Royal Rumble 2015. You know how big of an LA Knight fan I am. I mean, I marked out when he won the Impact World Title, and so I cannot be any more happier with just how he has broken out, and probably the reason why I will be buying a SmackDown ticket for Friday. So,
Very fair.
women's WWE Women's Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year. Your nominees are Zoe Stark, Tegan Knox, Ivy Nile, and Shotzi. I'm just gonna say for her growth, especially with how well she did with Trish Stratus, I think my vote goes to Zoe Stark here, Matt. What about you?
I would love to debate you on this and go with Ivy Nile, but I just don't think she had enough matches in
No.
2023. Like I have to go Zoe Stark.
Yeah, I
So
think Ivy Nile,
I think
great
she's
match
done
with
more
Rhea.
than enough. I think Zoe did more than enough this year to be the breakout of those four nominees. So
She had a lot of growth as a talker, where she didn't have that going coming from NXT. Always had the talent in the ring, but the growth as a talker and work with Trish Stratus, I think, was all very well done, and very well deserving of the marquee for Women's Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year. Next up is the AEW Men's Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year. This is a quartet of awesome, awesome competitors: Action Andretti, Swerve Strickland, Konosuke Takeshita, and Kyle Fletcher. I put Swerve in here just because of his ascent to, in January of 2023, didn't see him as the guy to be the champion. And by the end of 2023, you think this is going to be the guy that's going to hold the world title at some point. You know, he went from kind of, fight with Keith Lee, tag teams and things like that, to being the top guy in the company. So that's why I think Swerve Strickland gets the nod slightly over Takeshita, who is a hell of a talent, and I was so happy when AEW signed him. What do you think, Matt?
yeah, I mean, look, if Swerve wasn't here, it's Takeshita. It's if for nothing else, it's back-to-back wins over Kenny Omega in a week is a very
Yep.
big way to break out in 2023.
Oh yeah.
But Swerve has had a monster 2023 and has just continued to rise throughout the year. And he's at a place right now where I think if he's not AEW World Champion at some point in 2024, that the AEW audience would revolt
Yeah.
and I think they would lose their minds. So I think Swerve definitely broke out in 2023, and I think he's going to have a monster 2024. And if we're not talking about him for AEW Wrestler of the Year this time next year, I'll
Yep.
be very, very surprised.
Exactly. Next up is AEW Women's Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year. Your nominees are Sky Blue, Julia Hart, Billy Starks, and Abaddon. Couple of very young performers there. Abaddon kind of take a little time away from the ring, improved a lot, and got into a TBS title picture. But I think Sky Blue had like 64 wins. That was a good year. But I think
I think she
I
had like
don't
64 matches. I don't know if she had
or
64
matches, yeah,
wins.
not wins, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
she
yeah.
lost a lot.
But I don't think anybody broke through with the audience, and also in terms of performing, like Julia Hart did.
Yeah, I mean, if Billy Starks would have won the Ring of Honor Women's Championship from Athena at Final Battle, I feel like I could have made a solid argument for Billy. but since she lost, I mean, it has to be Julia Hart.
Yep.
Her improvement throughout 2023 to where she is now, TBS champion, it's astounding. Like,
Yeah.
like remember she came in with like the nothing cheerleader gimmick with Brian
Yeah.
Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison, and I'm just like, this isn't gonna go
Who
anywhere.
the
And
fuck is Griff Garrison?
they've really been able to evolve Hart into what she's become in and out of the ring. Like, she's a great character, but she's in, improved tremendously in the ring as well. So, like, to me, it's Hart all day.
Yeah. That was man, and the crowd is, though she's a heel, is always firmly behind her when her music hits. So next up, Villain of the Year. Always a fun one. Your nominees for Villain of the Year are Dominic Mysterio. There you go. Christian Cage, as Nigel would say. Don Callis, and Roman Reigns, just because, well, he's holding that championship hostage. We've talked about it on the show, Matt. It's an easy one. Christian Cage.
it
Are you debating?
it's probably Christian Cage, but
Steven Chambers says
you can't help but slightly give the nods to the work that Don Callis and Dominic Mysterio have done this year.
getting the
And
crowd to boo.
I have trouble giving Roman Reigns anything due to his lack of matches and in ring time, and to me that helps make him a villain. But yeah, Christian Cage has done
Different level. He was on a
Christian
different level.
he's a phenomenal 2023. I think it's only going to carry on in 2024. So yeah, I'm going to give the nod to Christian Cage, although I could understand if somebody went with Dominic or Don Callis there as well.
Yeah, very much so. On the other side of the coin, your babyface of the year. Your nominees are Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, MJF. Boy, who'd have thought that a couple years ago? And Willow Nightingale, because, I mean, come on. Is there any bigger babyface in the women's division than Willow Nightingale? This one's going to be interesting, Matt. I'm going to default to you to start. I just want to see where your direction's going and see if you can sway me. I have it in my head.
I look, personally, I gotta go with Cody Rhodes, the
Yeah,
American
that's what I was
Nightmare.
gonna
I just the personification of a babyface in 2023. Nobody did it better in any company, in my opinion, than Cody Rhodes. You want to see this man succeed. He's not only is he a good guy on television, he's a good guy
in
real life. And he's a good guy outside of the ring. And to me, he's babyface of the year. And it's going to be, honestly, it's going to be really hard to dethrone him as babyface of the year in 2024. It's going to be very difficult for someone to come in
especially if he
try
finishes
to
his
dethrone
story.
him.
Yeah, especially if he finishes his
Dude,
story.
if he doesn't finish his story, I think he'll become an even bigger babyface.
That's true.
Because I think the crowd will start to rebel against the company for it. To me, I feel like Cody has to win that championship by WrestleMania 40, or WWE is going to put themselves in a situation that they're not going to be very overly happy with.
Though I mistitled this category, sorry there to the executives at WWE, but WWE PLE of the year. I put pay-per-view
whatever.
It's still a
freaking pay-per-view.
Your nominees are Money in the Bank, WrestleMania 39, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. And it's amazing, like, Survivor Series used to be one of the weaker pay-per-views for being a big four. The big five are right there, which is pretty crazy. Rumble actually kind of weaker this year. I thought WrestleMania was one of the strongest WrestleManias in a long time, Matt. I think that's going to be my initial go-to there.
If we could just give it to WrestleMania 39 night 1.
Yeah.
I would probably agree with you. I hated night 2.
Did you?
They did way too many things on night 2 that pissed me off. That completely soured me on. I loved WrestleMania 39 night 1. To me, WrestleMania night 2 ruined everything. And it's one of the main reasons I'm not really interested in hopping on a train and going up to Philadelphia this year for WrestleMania 40. Because if they do the same thing again, if one night's great, one night pisses me off, I'm like, I could watch that at home on Peacock, and I could work and do coverage at WrestleZone, and I don't have to worry about the hundreds of thousands of dollars I spent to go to the event only to be angry about it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the ending of night 2 was not ideal, but still a hell of a match.
I think I'm gonna go with Survivor Series, man. You had the return of Randy Orton, the return that nobody saw coming with CM Punk. That was a company changing pay-per-view for WWE in 2023, premium live event, whatever the hell you want to call it. Like, WWE changed the game in Chicago at Survivor Series. And I thought it was a great pay-per-view without Punk's return. So
yeah.
Look. I know
the War Games matches were good.
Yes, the pay-per-view was carried on the War Games matches. To me,
Gunther and Miz was good.
And Gunther and Miz was good. Look, it wasn't a top to bottom amazing card. Honest, I'm telling you, if I could just give it to WrestleMania 39 night 1, I would.
Well, why don't we just give it to WrestleMania?
As an overall show, I can't give it to them.
Well, we could. Why don't we give it to WrestleMania night 1 then? Because it was its own night.
If we can do that, WrestleMania 39 night 1, I will absolutely concede.
Well, guess what, Matt? We're the goddamn bosses. So
that's right. That's
WrestleMania 39 night 1, and then putting the stars next to the winner. Bam, done.
Book it.
Ooh, this gonna be tough. Maybe tough. I don't know. Best AEW pay-per-view of the year. This might be tough. Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, All In London, and Forbidden Door. My gut says Full Gear, Matt, but where do you land on this thing?
My gut says Wrestle Dream.
Yeah, Wrestle Dream was good too.
It's hard to pick. And honestly, as I was sitting here looking at the 4 nominees when we discussed them over the weekend, I couldn't help but feel like we were doing a disservice to All Out as well, because that was a tremendous show. From AEW last year. This one's tough. I would like to hear what the chat has to say. Right now I'm leaning on Wrestle Dream.
All Out was good, but I mean, a lot of that shit was thrown together so quickly because it was a week after.
I just thought All Out was a great pay-per-view from top to bottom. And there's a lot of people out there that would argue that they enjoyed All Out more than they enjoyed All In. So this one's tough. And honestly, if Forbidden Door was incredible too.
Yeah.
You know,
Forbidden Door is going to have the Match of the Year nominee in it. So did Wrestle Dream.
This one's tough.
I'm gonna go for not only just because of the sake of time, but I mean, Wrestle Dream brought us back Adam Copeland. You had Sabre and Danielson. You had Swerve and Hangman, though obviously the death match was better. Plus you had Kingston and Shibata. FTR and Aussie Open.
Yeah. I gotta go. Wrestle Dream, man.
That 6-man with the Golden Elite and Jericho, that was better than we thought it was going to be. We thought we're shoehorning this in between the great Danielson and Sabre match, and then obviously the tag match and TNT were the main events. And that 6-man was amazing when we thought it wasn't going to be just a throwaway match. So I can go with Wrestle Dream there with you, man. All right. Faction of the year. This is all brands. No WWE, AEW. Just nominees are The Bloodline, the Judgment Day, Bullet Club Gold, and the House of Black. Well, Matt, obviously there's longevity with the Judgment Day. The House of Black was pretty impactful in AEW. Where were you, Lane?
I gotta go with the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of an overall faction, they were the most prevalent on television on a weekly basis throughout 2023. They collected a lot of championships in their time doing it. The Women's Championship, the Tag Team titles, Money in the Bank, the North American Championship. They were firing on all cylinders for a very good portion of 2023. It's hard to pick against the Judgment Day. It really, really is.
We'll book it. Moment of the year. This is also an all brands category. Mark Briscoe returns to AEW after the passing of his brother Jay. Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn are gone from WWE. Adam Copeland debuts at AEW for Wrestle Dream, and CM Punk returns to the WWE. Matt, I think this is pretty cut and dry, though, as much as we've wanted Vince and Kevin gone ever since we've been doing the show. Hell freezing over, I think, has to win.
Because it's the moment that no one saw it coming. You could speculate and debate and all that shit heading up to it and say, oh, I knew it was going to happen. You didn't fucking know. Because Punk didn't even really know it was going to happen until the day of the damn show. So the fact that they were able to get that together and get that done and have Punk show up in Chicago at the end of Survivor Series, the internet was on fire.
Yeah.
It felt like days following that incident. Like, to me, Punk's return to WWE is something I, as a wrestling fan, never saw coming. Like, maybe you could have made an argument to me that he might have been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame one day.
Yeah.
But I never predicted, him going back to WWE. I really thought he would have to go somewhere else and prove himself first.
Yeah, we said that on
WWE
here.
would take a second look at him. I really thought TNA was a viable destination for him, and it has come out since his WWE return that TNA did have a very real offer, and Punk was considering it. And I think if things wouldn't have come together between WWE and Punk at Survivor Series, I think we'd be seeing CM Punk this Saturday night at Hard to Kill. I really and truly do. But WWE swooped in, scored the big signing, and they picked up themselves the moment of the year in the process.
Yeah, we're just gonna quickly go through this one because we kind of insinuated the winner last year, but our best thing going in wrestling today, past winners, the Broken Hardys, Talking Shopomania was one in the past, Being the Elite. Today's the nominees are Christian Cage being a dad, the Continental Classic, Hey Oo, great show with RJ City, and Timeless Tony Storm. And the best thing going in wrestling today is definitely tits, chin, and shoe, right, Matt?
I'm gonna disagree with you, my friend.
Oh,
disagree with you.
I guess we're gonna have to
I personally,
save the rest of the categories for later.
In my heart of hearts, the best thing going today is AEW. I look forward to watching that show every Sunday. It is nonstop entertainment. It never fails to make me smile or laugh or put me in a good mood when I'm not feeling
fired
great.
In the chat.
Huh?
You're getting fired in the chat, by the way.
I don't care. You can fire me if you want. Do you pay me? Do you pay me, Tony? Kamehameha? Like, no, you don't pay me. I freaking love AEW. I could totally understand Timeless Tony Storm. I can understand all of them, honestly. I think the AEW Continental Classic brought, the feeling back to AEW in the last couple months of 2023. But for me, I love AEW And to me, it brings me so much joy every week. And in a business that's so cynical and so serious all the time, I love what RJ City brings to AEW with Hey EW.
Well, we're gonna have to just have our first ever tie, I think.
So we don't have time to debate this, unfortunately.
Match and wrestlers of the year. We're gonna save that for next week. We'll save that for next week. We can get through those pretty quickly, I think. And then we can even throw
Tony
in.
still respects me, JB.
Okay, you're still fired, but we'll get through the matches of the year for WWE and AEW, and then wrestlers of the year WWE, AEW. We'll maybe even throw in Impact, NXT, and all that. We'll get into all that next week. Let's talk, though. I mean, this is kind of a big deal, so let's talk about it real quick. We got 5 minutes left. Hard to Kill. Hard to Kill is coming up on Saturday on pay-per-view. Obviously, Scott D'Amore is teasing something major.
And here's the thing. They've really pulled off the gas pedal of this tease.
You think so?
They have. Because D'Amore really hyped it up on like December 18th. And the last time I literally scrolled back through TNA's Twitter last night to check this. The last time TNA's Twitter has even mentioned the Worlds Collide, You'll Never Believe Who's Showing Up graphic was like December 30th.
Oh.
Like they haven't said anything about this thing in over a week. So I'm curious of who they thought they had, because Scott said on Busted Open, we were at the finish line of securing this talent. I'm wondering if they no longer have this big signing that they thought they were going to have, and now they're just going to try to cover it up. I don't know.
I wonder if it was Mercedes, and now that there's rumors that Trinity is going back to WWE, Mercedes decided not to go.
And I think just simply at the end of the day, AEW can pay her more than TNA can.
Yeah.
No offense to TNA, but man, I don't know. I want it to be a big name, but if Mercedes is AEW bound, there's not a free agent out there right now that can do this. There's only one way. There's only one way this works. And the terminology on the graphic is a whole lot easier to explain than what D'Amore said on Busted Open. Because the graphic says Worlds Collide, You'll Never Believe Who's Showing Up. It doesn't say that somebody is signing. You never believe who signed. You never believe who the latest member of the TNA roster is. They're just
That's where
saying,
I said 3 weeks ago, MJF.
Yeah,
playing off of the bidding war of 2024.
I'm sticking with my crazy far out there pick. Where there's smoke, there's fire. TNA Plus is on Endeavor, and the Endeavor streaming service. Endeavor owns WWE.
AJ Styles.
I think AJ Styles appears at TNA Hard to Kill.
I'm gonna stick with MJF just because they pulled him off of the roster, even on the website. So I'm gonna stick with MJF. It'd be interesting to see if either one of us is correct.
I think
obviously,
if either one of them appear, I think it'll be very big, a very big talking point for us next Monday on this show.
Obviously, in one of the co-main events, Jordan Grace taking on Trinity. If Jordan Grace wins, I think that might be telling you Trinity might be out the door soon. Do you see a title?
From my understanding, her deal runs through the Orlando tapings in January. Okay. So she'll probably drop. I would imagine they'll have her drop it at the pay-per-view, or maybe they'll make her drop it later, just so like it's not as obvious. Because I think everybody's expecting her to drop it on Saturday. But if you don't drop it to Jordan, who you dropping it to? Yeah. So to me, Jordan makes the most sense. Especially you lost Deanna, you're about to lose Trinity. A lot of reports are suggesting Trinity is going to pop up at the Royal Rumble at the end of this month. So, yeah, I'm going to say Grace, new champion. And to me, no offense, I love Jordan Grace. It's a bummer because Trinity became a gigantic star.
Yeah, I thought she'd stick around
wrestling during her time with the company. And look, I understand you want to go back and be with your husband in WWE. I get that. That makes sense. But I hope if WWE is bringing her back in, I hope WWE understands what they have in her this
Right.
time around, and they
Right.
treat her like the top tier talent that she is.
Do you see Moose beating Alex Shelley? Nah, he signed a new deal.
For the TNA title?
Yeah.
The only way that happens is if Shelley's too injured to continue to be in champion. There's no way Moose should be TNA champion to start 2024. The only way that works for me, because I know Shelley's been banged up. If Shelley's too banged up to continue on as champion, I guess you could give it to Moose as a short transitional reign to put it on somebody else. But
Yeah.
if I'm trying to put my best foot forward in 2024 and I'm trying to get eyes on my company, Moose ain't the guy I'm putting my world title on. It's just that's not happening. And I like Moose, but Moose is not. Moose is not a 2024 world champion, build your company around guy right now. He's just not.
This card is insane, dude. 4-way for the tag titles with ABC Rascals, Grizzled Young Veterans, and Speedball Mountain with Mike Bailey and Trent Seven pairing up. Alexander's taking on Hammerstone. And
that's
then
huge.
The women have an Ultimate X match, and the triple threat for the X division, Sabin, Vikingo, and Kushida. I think Kushida is going to win that, by the way.
I think it's smart money on Kushida as well.
And goddamn it, Tony, get Vikingo signed as soon as you can. Hey, Dick Wolf is on my.
I think as long as he's under a AAA deal, I don't think anybody can sign him. I think he's just free to do whatever the hell he wants.
Dick Wolf is on our TV, so it's time to watch Monday Night Raw. Cody Rhodes and Nakamura are main eventing it. Sean Ross Sapp saying it's going to go for 3 segments, so it looks like it's going to be a lengthy match. I wonder if Punk will, or not Punk. Never mind, that's not. Yeah, anyways, Punk is there though, by the way, and everything else, nothing else really, nothing else outside of what we already talked about. So. You guys enjoy. We'll finish the Markies up next week. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. We'll talk Markies and Hard to Kill and anything else that comes by this week. For Matt Black, this is Jeremy Bennett. Thank you for tuning in to Lost the Midcard, and we'll catch you next week.